My friend Jake and I had been planning the camping trip for months. Nothing fancy, just two college friends wanting to spend a weekend away from city noise. We found an isolated spot in a national forest, packed our gear, and drove 3 hours into the mountains. The place was perfect. Tall pine trees surrounded a small clearing, and a narrow stream ran nearby. There were no other campers for miles. At least, that's what we thought. The first day went smoothly. We hiked, fished, and spent the evening sitting around a campfire telling ghost stories. As darkness settled over the forest, everything became quiet. Too quiet. Around midnight, Jake tossed another log onto the fire. "You notice something?" he asked. "What?" "No bugs." I listened. He was right. There were no crickets, no frogs, no sounds at all. The forest felt dead. Before I could respond, we heard a crack, a branch snapping somewhere in the darkness. We both looked toward the trees. Nothing. Another crack echoed from a different direction. Then another. It sounded as if something was circling us. Jake stood and shined his flashlight into the woods. The beam revealed only trees. After a few minutes, the noises stopped. We convinced ourselves it was probably a deer and eventually went to bed. I woke sometime later to a strange sound. Tap, tap, tap. At first I thought rain was hitting the tent. Then I realized the tapping was too deliberate, too slow. Tap, tap, tap. It was coming from outside. I checked my phone. 3:12 a.m. The tapping continued. Carefully, I unzipped the tent a few inches and looked out. The campfire had died. The clearing was illuminated only by moonlight that I couldn't see anyone. Then I noticed something strange. Jake's tent was open. The flap hung loose. My stomach tightened. I whispered his name. No answer. I called again. Still nothing. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped outside. The cold night air felt heavier than it should have. "Jake!" Silence. I walked toward his tent. It was empty. His sleeping bag was still inside. His backpack was untouched. But Jake was gone. A sudden whistle echoed through the trees. Long, low, unnatural. I froze. The sound came again, closer this time. Then I heard something moving among the trees. Heavy footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The footsteps were heading toward camp. I backed away. My flashlight shook in my hands. The beam swept across the tree line. For a second, I thought I saw someone standing there. A tall silhouette, far taller than any normal person. Then it stepped behind a tree. The footsteps stopped. Everything became silent. I ran back into my tent and zipped it shut. My heart hammered in my chest. I told myself I would wait until sunrise. Just wait. Everything would make sense in daylight. Minutes passed. Maybe an hour. Then I heard something outside. Breathing. Slow. Wet. Directly beside my tent. I held my breath. The sound moved around me. Circling. Stopping. Listening. Then came Jake's voice. "Hey man." I nearly cried with relief. "Jake." No answer. A few seconds later. "Hey man." The exact same words. The exact same tone. Like a recording being replayed. Every hair on my body stood up. "Jake." I whispered. Again, silence. Then, "Hey man." Same words. Same voice. Same inflection. I suddenly understood. Whatever was outside wasn't Jake. It had only heard him speak. And now it was repeating what it knew. The breathing continued, slowly circling my tent. Then something pressed against the fabric. A hand. At least it looked like a hand. The silhouette had too many fingers. Long fingers. Far too long. The shape slid across the tent wall. Searching. I wanted to scream. Instead, I stayed perfectly still. The thing remained outside for hours. Occasionally, it would repeat Jake's voice. Sometimes it copied my voice too. Words I'd spoken earlier that day. Short phrases. Laughter. Bits of conversation. Always slightly wrong. Like an actor performing a role without understanding it. Just before dawn, everything became quiet. The breathing stopped. The footsteps faded away. I waited another hour before leaving the tent. The clearing was empty. Jake was still gone. I packed my gear in record time and ran to my car. As I drove down the forest road, I kept checking the rearview mirror. Nothing followed me. By noon, I reached the nearest ranger station and reported Jake missing. A massive search began. Helicopters, dogs, volunteers. They searched for 2 weeks. They never found him. No footprints, no clothing, nothing. The official conclusion was that he became lost in the forest. But I know better. 3 years have passed since that night. I rarely talk about it. Nobody believes me anyway. But last week, something happened. I was cleaning old files from my phone when I found a voice memo. I didn't remember recording it. The timestamp was 3:14 a.m., the night Jake disappeared. My hands trembled as I pressed play. At first there was only static. Then I heard the breathing. Slow, wet, close, very close. After a few seconds, a voice spoke. Not Jake's, not mine, something else. Something deep and distorted. It said only 4 words. Words that still keep me awake at night. I found another one.